What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is Wednesday, which of course means it's time for another Western New York Wednesday here on the channel. And the beer I'm reviewing today once again comes from Community Beer Works, and they're out of Buffalo, New York. And this is their Sponge Candy Whale. So they're calling this one a brown ale brewed with natural flavors, and we'll expand upon that momentarily. It comes in at 5.9% alcohol by volume, no IBUs listed, time of review, and this can is just over 1 month old. So, Community Beer Works, I have reviewed close to a dozen beers from them on the channel, one of my favorite breweries in Buffalo. And their whale, or the whale, is their American brown ale, one of their core kind of beers that is always available. I have reviewed that beer on the channel along with, I believe it's 3 different variants. It's about a year and a half ago. I think it was in the fall of 2020. I did their Mocha, the whale. I did their Canadian breakfast whale and their Choco taco whale, and all were very fun to try. They've released other variants over the years that I did not review. But yeah, so when I saw this one, Sponge Candy Whale, I had to give it a go. Why? Well, if you're unfamiliar with sponge candy, it is a very Buffalo-centric dessert. It's basically spun honeycomb toffee that is covered in chocolate. And as you can see maybe on the label, there's little pieces of it. And if you're from Buffalo, you know what sponge candy is. I love it. Especially the dark chocolate and orange chocolate versions of sponge candy, fantastic. Here's the thing. When it comes to beers, sponge candy is hard to replicate in beer form because it's all about the texture of the sponge candy. Spongy, right? It also has like a styrofoam kind of feel to it. The texture is what sponge candy is all about. It has, again, a toffee and like, chocolate flavor to it, but I always feel it's very tough to replicate that in a beer. They're going to try with this one. They have a little spiel here that we'll read. It says, the whale is an unmistakable brown ale, smooth, surprisingly drinkable, and packed with flavor. I agree with that. We layer distinctive English malts with a touch of hops to create flavors and aromas of coffee, chocolate, and toasted grains. This special version is brewed with a touch more roasted malt, caramel malts, and then aged on chocolate, natural vanilla, and toffee. Delicious. We will see, Community Beer Works. We will see. Hopefully it is delicious. But I enjoy the whale. Just like I said, a really fun American brown ale. And I'm not a brown ale guy, so the fact that I enjoy the whale from them, pretty awesome. So we'll give it a pour here. I'm just hoping, I don't know if they're going to be able to replicate sponge candy in brown ale form, but I'm here to see if they do. And that's what I would like to see. We'll see if it happens. Anyway, pours out this really, so on camera's probably going to look pitch black or maybe like a super dark brown. In person, it has this murky brown. It's more of like a really dark brown up here. As it gets closer to the bottom, it's like a light brown, almost mahogany. Has about a 2.5, 3 finger of this straight up khaki or toffee colored head. Maybe not as dark as toffee, more like we'll say a khaki or just a straight up tan. Some rocky bubbles in there, looking somewhat creamy but soap sudsy at the same time. Yeah, looks fine. Let's get a nose. So you can, yeah, for sure. You can definitely pick up on a huge kind of just burnt sugar, sweeter sugar. There's a ton of caramel and toffee on the nose for sure. Almost butterscotch-esque. That's how it's kind of coming off as. Underneath, there's definitely roasted malt, a little bit of coffee, more of a dark chocolate, like a 50 or 60% cacao bar. Maybe a slight nuttiness. The only thing that's kind of weird about this in general is the fact that they say, on the front of the label it says natural flavors, but then they say, hey, they aged it on chocolate, natural vanilla, and toffee. I guess it's much easier for them to say with natural flavors instead of listing everything off on the label. That'd be, I guess, what they're going for. Or maybe they're using like certain extracts or something. Yeah, I mean, this smells like, to me, it smells like the whale, but like amplified in that caramel and kind of toffee realm. I feel the roasted malts and the kind of chocolate and coffee are kind of a little bit less impactful in this one, at least aroma-wise. And that's kind of what I expected. I want that toffee to kind of come to the forefront, and I think it is. It smells really good. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. It's really, really soft and smooth. Yeah, I like that. The back end is really fucking wild. That finish, I think, kind of makes the beer for me. Wow. I highly enjoy this. I didn't think they'd be able to pull it off. And I don't think they pull it off to a T. but pretty damn close. So body and mouthfeel. Body on this one, 5.9%. It's like lower side of medium, maybe approaching medium, but lower side of medium. 5.9%, it's fine. The mouthfeel, I was expecting more. I feel like the Whale, the base beer, has more of like a prickly carbonation kind of in the brown ale style. This is a little bit dialed back carbonation wise, and it's a little bit softer, smoother, and even has a little bit of creaminess, touch of creaminess in there. Yeah, nice and soft and smooth with a touch of creaminess on the finish. The taste though, right at the forefront, it's funny. You take a sip of it, it's like, oh, okay, that's a brown ale. There's slightly, I wouldn't even say roasted malt, but like almost just like a slight kind of like a dark bread type of toasty malt. And it's more toasty. We'll go toasty than roasty. It's like a toasted malt. Then right after that, I'm hit with a little bit of a nuttiness, touch of a nuttiness, a little bit of like chocolate, coffee. But again, it's not super big on the base beer. I mean, it's there. You know, it's kind of a brown ale. Like if I was doing this by, I'd say brown ale or maybe like a light porter or something. I think that toasty kind of malt quality as opposed to a roasted malt quality is kind of the difference for me in terms of the brown ale to the like a light American porter. But yeah, that hits you right at the front. But as it passes through the palate, about 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way, there's a really nice blast of toffee, caramel, and butterscotch. And it has that confectionery, just kind of sweetness that you expect from that. But it's not too much. It's just, it's noticeable, which is, again, welcomed. And then the chocolate that you got at the forefront kind of hits again, but it's more of like a sweeter, like milk or like a sweet dark chocolate. So you're getting an essence of sponge candy on the back of the palate. Here's the cool thing though. Even though it's a bit sweeter, there's this nice earthy, almost, yeah, I'm going to just say straight up earthy bitterness that hits. It's mild to moderately bitter on the back of the palate. Finishes semi-dry. So yes, is there a decent amount of sweetness from something called sponge candy whale? Sure. Is it extremely well balanced from a sweetness to bitterness standpoint? You bet your ass it is. This is chuggable, yet delicate, robust, and kind of decadent at the same time. This is a 5.9% pastry brown ale that isn't a pastry brown ale. I realize how fucking stupid that sounds, but what I'm saying is that there's those sweet, rich, decadent pastry vibes to it without being overbearingly sweet or dominating the beer itself. You get the essence of the sponge candy, but you get the base beer. Everything intertwines beautifully. And if you can't tell, I'm really digging this one. They didn't hit the nail on the head, so to speak, but they've come damn close. And for what they're going for, this is like a 4.75. Personal preference would be a little bit lower, but this is honestly higher than I anticipated. And I always say, don't go into a review with any preconceived notions. More often than not, or sometimes it happens, okay? Sometimes you see this and you're like, sponge candy whale, sponge candy beer is letting me down. Probably gonna think this is like a 3.75, but then you drink and you're like, holy shit, you're impressed. It happens. I try not to. Sometimes it happens. This time, kind of preconceived notions were like, I don't know if they're gonna hit the nail on the head, and I think they did a great job. So anyway, this is a longer review, and I kind of know that, but Sponge Candy the Whale from Community Beer Works, high 4.25 out of 5, 4.3 out of 5. It's a really fucking good beer, and here's the thing. By the time you see this review, this can will probably be like 5, maybe 5.5 weeks old. If you're in Buffalo, and you like brown ales, and you want something that kind of replicates a sponge candy in a beer form of some sort, I think they did a great job with this. This is probably one of the better variants of the Whale that I've had. Price point availability, when it comes to Community Beer Works, I think they're available only in New York State. I think you can order their stuff online, have it delivered across the state. Not positive, pretty sure though. If not, got to be in the West New York area. Their stuff gets out to like Rochester and probably downstate to some degree. And price point, I believe these were $12, $11.99 a 6-pack, $2 a can. I think I paid like $2.09 for that can. Yeah, all day. So if you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it. If you've had any kind of variant of the Whale or the Whale itself, let me know as well. Really fucking good take on a sponge candy beer in brown ale form, in my opinion. 5.9%, like I said, it doesn't get in the way at all. Like you can't. That's the thing I like about it. This is like a low ABV pastry beer. That's not overly sweet. It's fucking great. Yeah. Anyway. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Kind of out of things to say, so check back next Wednesday for another installment of West New York Wednesday. Until then, cheers.